Hello everybody and welcome to the ESI Digest, where we run through the biggest esports business related news stories of the week. I am Tom Daniels, the sub-editor of Esports Insider, and we're going to jump into some big news. So we've got 5 major stories that we're going to be covering. However, there's been a lot more which has come out this week. Again, as you know, this esports season continues to roll out, so we're going to be talking about Ninjas in Pyjamas is rebranding, like a massive news story which came out this week. We got Team Liquid and Alienware extending and kind of expanding on their long-term partnership. We've got Big Berlin International Gaming becoming the 12th Blast Premier member team. Then we've also got the Esports Integrity Commission adding some new tournament organisers into the kind of membership program as well to strengthen the integrity protocols. And then finally, we're going to be talking about Guild revealing the financial year results and kind of what this means for Guild Esports as well. So we'll start off with that massive news story about Ninjas in Pyjamas is rebranding. Now, this was a story that I think caught a lot of attention because I feel like some people either really liked this logo and some people really did not. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about kind of the rebranding as a whole. So they've decided to rebrand as what they have described as as crucial to the company's continued development and purpose. So this includes like experiences to like entertain, inspire, and connect with fans all around the world. Now, Ninjas in Pyjamas, their branding has been very synonymous with the organization as a whole. This is kind of like the first, I would say, major, not just a rebranding, but of like a visual update, a new ethos change. Similar to like when XL did this whole Power of Better ethos, it seems that Ninjas in Pyjamas now are kind of putting themselves away from just being an esports organization and kind of wanting to be an entertainment organization, more of an overarching organization which also includes esports in it. And with that, they've kind of remodernized, they've kind of changed the logo quite significantly. So the original colors, like the browns, have kind of all gone. They've been replaced with like neon, with vibrant, with light colors. They've also kind of shifted the text a little bit as well. And then the icon has changed. It looks, for me, in my opinion, a little bit more like a shuriken, a little bit more kind of a resemblance to essentially Japan, which is, you know, ninjas in pajamas. Personally, for me, for someone who doesn't have like a major affection to Ninjas in Pyjamas, I don't personally mind this rebrand. However, I can understand why some like followers of the organization for a long time are not kind of enjoying this sudden change, because I think that's what's thrown a lot of people, is that it's a massive change from kind of what Ninjas in Pyjamas looked like prior to what they look like now, you know, especially with the color change. I think this is also indicative of a lot of esports organizations are now looking to modernize their look, looking to push ahead, because with all this mainstream audience, in my opinion anyway, I feel like they're trying to modernize themselves to attract more of an entertainment industry, the more of the casuals, as well as hopefully keeping some of those esports hardcore fans as well. When you mention long-term partnerships in esports, you genuinely think of like 3-4 years at this point, given the fact that commercial partners and your esports organizations genuinely chop and change a lot. However, one which hasn't done is definitely Team Liquid and Alienware, as they have just extended their partnership to go, which is now going into its 10th year. So the partnership includes, I'm going to read this again here, it is to focus on 3 new programs between the two entities: fan engagement, play performance, and technology, and then community opportunities. One of them being the fact that now Alienware is the official launching partner of Liquid Plus, which is Team Liquid's new membership program, which increases fan engagement. Also, the standard thing that Alienware will be continuing to supply Liquid and Liquid's pros with all the Alienware gear. For me, this partnership really highlights the importance of loyalty between a brand and an esports organization. Now, Alienware and Liquid, like we said, have been together for 10 years, and with that becomes a lot of trust, a lot of investment between two brands to help each other and drive each other through success. And you could arguably say that because of the rise of esports, the rise of Team Liquid as an organization as a whole, the Alienware have benefited from that more than what they've just benefited from the 1-2 year deals that other esports organizations have with other partners. And I think we are going to start seeing this a lot more. We're starting to see, not with every partnership, but a lot more long-term deals, a lot more kind of an emphasis on, okay, well, we're going to be getting this for this partnership this year, but let's actually look at 3-4 years and see how we can essentially both develop the brands together. I think that this is definitely a brilliant partnership to be involved with from Team Liquid side and from Alienware side, but also a good kind of case study for esports organizations of highlighting how two companies can kind of be synonymous with each other. And because for me, I look at Team Liquid now and I see Alienware, and that's the point of this partnership, and vice versa. I see Alienware and I see Team Liquid. We haven't kind of found out any financial details or even how long the extension is going to be, but we can expect it to be for a long time, so I'm hoping to see more from them in the future. The next story is that German-based esports organization Berlin International Gaming, or BIG for short, has been announced as the 12th member team of Blast Premier. As a result of this, BIG will be automatically qualifying into the Blast Premier's Premier event, so in the groups, I believe it's spring and fall, and then also they'll be able to go straight into some of the other tournaments that Blast Premier has throughout 2021. I believe it's at least 4 out, I believe, of like 8 or 7 tournaments which they've got. They're obviously replacing 100 Thieves, who decided to exit from CSGO, so now we've got the full 12 again, which already has teams like, Team Liquid, Astralis, the list goes on and on. According to the press release, it was a very competitive process. Now, not much more was kind of gone into what the bidding process was like, how many people are involved, what was kind of essentially the money which was thrown around in there. However, if you go off just the fact that Blast Premier just last week broke records for the amount of viewers on an online CSGO event. I believe it was Na'Vi and Team Vitality's match. You can kind of highlight that actually CSGO, and especially Blast Premier, seems like a very, very important tournament and an important kind of organization to be involved with. I would say that the only other thing that I really want to talk about on this story to note is the fact that is kind of this big solidifying themselves purely in CSGO. We know that they've got teams in League of Legends, in the Prime League, for example, which is the German ERL, but is kind of their investment going to be focused on CSGO, or is this kind of an indication of big, pushing the esports even more overall? We've seen it now with Blast Premier. Are we going to see even more investment in League of Legends? What about Valorant? What about other titles? So it's very interesting to see how the development at this org is also changing. And the start of it could just be with them being a Blast Premier member team. Staying with CSGO now, and it seems like the Esports Integrity Commission continues to strengthen with the announcement that Relog Media and Sport Modules, and as a result, the tournament organizer 247 Leagues, have all been announced as members of the commission. So as a result of these partnerships, ESIC has announced that its rules, penalties, and integrity goals during all the events from 247 Leagues and Relog Media, which includes the Home Sweet Home series, will maintain with the same standards of the commission itself. Now, I feel like this is huge for CSGO, and especially when you kind of realize that Team Vitality, just last week, again, we talk about it, Team Vitality got fined $10,000 for breaching something from the ESIC code. Now, I believe it was to do with like stream sniping, but they did announce that there was no malicious intent, but the fine has been given because it is still to kind of show a statement, the fact of, integrity breaches, no matter how malicious or not malicious, they should be withheld. I'm glad that we're kind of seeing a lot more of this, like I said, with the rise of esports betting. It'll be interesting to see how many more tournament organizers come in. But what I'm actually loving is that when you see new tournaments and see new esports tournaments come in now, it's not we have to partner with ESIC. It's we will partner with ESIC, and it's kind of like that rite of passage now to kind of legitimize yourself as a tournament, which is what it should be, and I'm glad to see that these things are changing. The final story of the ESI Digest sees us coming back to the UK. We're going to be talking about Guild Esports. Now, because Guild Esports is on the London Stock Exchange, they have to provide yearly financial results. And so this is the financial results from the 3rd of September 2019 to the 30th of September 2020. So the public listed company has announced a loss before tax of 2.7 million, which is kind of what you expect really from the fact that this ends on the 30th of September. So within that year, you got the $5 million investment, with one of them being David Beckham and having the deal about him being associated with the brand. So that was a major thing in there. However, it did not include, I believe, like the 40+ million investment that was, I believe, in October. So this actually was just outside that period. So it will be interesting to see what the next year's results are of the financial year. But focusing on these ones, they kind of acquitted these kind of losses to the fact that it reflects the pre-revenue stage when the startup and operating costs were high. So this is when the organization was just getting its wheels in motion. If you want to read a little bit more about the financial results, a little bit more detail about the highlights throughout the year, and also an interview with Carlton Curtis, who's the executive chairman, then head over to Esports Insider's website, because we've got a nice Q&A to kind of summarize, what does this mean? We also talk a little bit about the fact that they had a sponsor, which was meant to be announced on November 2020, but is yet to be announced still. Also, the interview touches on Guild's kind of ambitions in 2021 and the possibility of entering like a franchise league and going into franchise systems in the future, and what are their opinions on that. So it's a really, really good read. So to conclude, while the financial results aren't as like major as I would say probably what next year's financial results are, it's interesting to see that we're actually getting yearly results because of the fact that Guild are on the London Stock Exchange. We kind of see it a little bit with parent companies of esports organizations, but because Guild is the first esports team to be on the stock exchange, or the London Stock Exchange anyway, then we actually get to see kind of the growth of the company from a financial turn, and not just from a commercial turn with partnerships, and not just from a viewership turn. So it'll be interesting to keep a note, and hopefully this time next year we see a lot more of an improvement on the the overall figure, and you would expect that investment of 40 million plus the other sponsorship deals which they managed to get will hopefully put the organization in good stead for 2021. And that's it for this week's ESI Digest. If you want to read more about the stories that I have mentioned, or hear about the other stories that have been announced in the esports business world, then don't forget to head over to Esports Insider's website. Also, if you want to follow us on Instagram, I'm trying to post a lot more on Instagram, that would be highly appreciated. Follow us on Twitter as well. And yeah, that's been it. I've been Tom Daniels, and